Appreciate you being here today. I thought today we'd talk about naturally fermenting some cucumbers. So I have made pickles for as long as I can remember, and since I'm getting old now and turning 48 this year, I can tell you I've probably been doing it for around 25 plus years. And I've always, done what I grew up with, which was you do your vinegar brine and you put them in your mason jars and you cold pack them and all of that. So about the past 2 years, I've been really focusing on putting fermented foods in my diet. I do a lot of kombucha when I don't have sauerkraut, and I was reading on naturally fermented cucumbers. So the pickles I do are delicious. However, they're just still not quite what I'm looking for. So I thought, let's try to just old-fashioned ferment them. Now, this is what they did years and years and years ago. What our great-grandparents used to do to preserve pickles. And there's lots of benefits to eating those fermented foods. I kind of live by this book called Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. In here it does talk about fermented foods. So it says that fermented vegetables that are have the lactobacilli present, which means they're naturally fermented in a salt brine, and then that creates lactic acid, which is what preserves and gives the pickles the sour dill, if you use dill taste, that they have. So it says that those vegetables, it is better for digestibility, so they're easier to digest, and it increases the vitamin levels within the vegetable itself. So that's kind of a positive aspect. And then another thing that I wanted to read to you, it says here, that in 1999, a study was published in The Lancet. They found that the consumption of lacto-fermented vegetables was positively associated with low rates of asthma, skin problems, autoimmune disorders. So I have researched YouTube till I'm going cross-eyed, and I use this book here, is another one that is a must in my kitchen, and it's the Ball Preserving book. So I'm using this as kind of my go-to brine base. So it calls for a 10% brining solution when naturally fermenting cucumbers. So what I did was I Googled, I figured I would use 3 liters of water in my 1 gallon #1 crock from Ohio, here at the Ohio Stoneware company, so made in the USA. We love that. My son got me that for Mother's Day. So what Mr. Google Pants told me what I should use was for 3 liters of filtered water. You definitely want to use filtered water. Don't use tap water. It has chlorine in it. It will kill the good bacteria that you want to keep, and it just won't ferment correctly. Again, from what I read. So 3 liters of filtered water to 1 1/3 cup of salt. You can use canning and pickling salt. You can use pink Himalayan salt, which is what I'm using. You just do not want to use table salt or iodized salt, I think is how you say it. Because again, it will kill the good bacteria. So what the saltwater brine is for is to kill the bad bacteria and to actually kind of start the lactic acid process in the vegetable. The vegetables are covered with hundreds of really great good bacteria that's good for you and good for your gut. So what we want to do is discourage or hinder the bad bacteria and mold from growing on the cucumbers and encourage the good bacteria to grow. So 10% brine solution. Go ahead. They said you can heat this up and then let it come back down to room temperature to help dissolve your salt. I took it straight out of the filter and put it in here, and I've just been stirring it off and on for about the last hour, and it's dissolved. So you don't necessarily have to heat it and then let it cool if you want to just do it that way. Then basically that is what you need other than pickling cucumbers. I'm going to put my books up out of the way here. I actually have pickling cucumbers, and then I don't remember what kind of cucumbers, but I just picked it early, so it wasn't real big. They're just a normal variety of cucumber. It's not herbless or anything. I'm really bad about planting stuff and throwing away the seed packet. And that's it, and a crock. You can also use glass mason jars, wide mouth quart glass mason jars. I just happen to have a crock, very luckily to have a crock. You can ferment pickles. You can also add your spices and seasonings to flavor them how you like, which is what I'm going to do today. I, again, did measurements just because I've done pickles so often, and for my gallon crock, and for the cucumbers that I have, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 12 or 13 cucumbers, I'm saying it's probably roughly 4 to 5 pounds. I'm using 3 tablespoons of dill weed, dried, and 6 tablespoons of dill seed, also dry. I'm going to use a whole head of garlic that I'm going to show you a really great trick on peeling, and then 3 bay leaves. The bay leaves, the chemical compound of bay leaves, from what I've read again, actually will help the pickles or cucumbers stay crisp. So it's supposed to help them not be soggy, bendy things. So we'll see if that works. Again, it's the first time you're going along this experiment ride with me. So I'm going to show you my little trick with my garlic. So the first thing you want to do is put it to where the root side is up and give it a smush. Now, of course, I'm a weakling and can't smush very hard. But if you can smush hard, I promise you the cloves just pop right out. So I'm going to take the cloves from the heads, like this. The noise you heard in the background was boiling water, just settling down now. And I'm going to pour boiling water on the cloves of garlic just until it covers them, and wait 1 minute. Now, they've been in there for 1 minute. Mind you, that is boiling water. I wouldn't stick your fingers in there if I were you. But after about a minute, if you pull them out, you'll see that that skin just comes right off. There's no fuss, no muss. They're not sticky. And they just literally, it just peels right off. After you peeled your last one, I'm just going to give them a little smash with my knife. They don't fly all over the place. Again, I'm such a weakling. There. Release some of the juices. Like that. After you have peeled your garlic and a small head yielded, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 8 cloves of garlic, which is about right. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove the blossom end of your cucumber. So the easiest way to tell which one is the blossom end is by the color of the end. So you want to use fresh cucumbers, preferably picked that day. That's the freshest, obviously, but at least picked within a day or two. By doing that, you'll see that the blossom end is a yellowy burnt orange brown, and the stem end is still green. So that's how you can tell which end is which. So again, blossom end is a red brown. I don't know if you can see that. And then the stem end is still green. You want to cut the blossom end off because they say that it will actually cause your cucumber to be soggy. They also tell you that you can cut both ends off if you wish, but I think I'm going to just stick with the blossom end. And they say you want to cut off about 1/16 of an inch, so not very much at all. Just enough to get rid of that little brown spot. That one I really got close. Yep, I got it all. Brown. And we're just gonna go here and cut all of these off. Then once you get all of your ends off, you're gonna want to begin layering your pickles, and then I'm gonna layer my garlic as well as my bay leaf. Okay, so we'll go ahead and begin layering now. What they tell you to do is start with your larger pickles first. So, and put down a little bit of your dill seed, dill weed, a couple cloves of garlic, and 1 bay leaf. And then your largest cucumbers on the bottom. And you want them, snug in there. So arrange them however best you can get them in without leaving a bunch of space. And then you're just going to want to keep layering up, adding more of your seasonings as you go. Now, I'm gonna fill it all the way up. Now, the great thing about having the Ohio crock is that it comes with a weight and a lid, which is really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just put the rest of my seasonings in. All my herbs, my dill, garlic, my other 2 bay leaves, the last 2 on top, like that. So we've left headroom. I have, like I had said, been stirring my brine, and the salt is almost dissolved, barely little left. You want this. I don't like that spot on that pickle. I'm gonna take that off. Just see that. And you want your brine to cover your pickles. So you don't want any air getting in there. A little bit more, like that. So I am then going to get my weights. So again, these do come with their own fermenting weights. And what this will do is it will keep the cucumbers completely submerged under the liquid. And I think I want to put just a little more in there. Now again, this is a gallon crock. I did 3 liters of brine. So you say, well, you could have probably only done 2 liters because you have a whole liter left. That's correct. And that is because I'm going to hang on to this. Because natural evaporation is going to occur, and you want to make sure that those cucumbers are always under that liquid. So I'm going to actually check this every day. And every day when I check it, I'm going to remove any scum, which is normal, or any like filmy layer off, and add more brine if needed. So this way, since I have the extra brine already made up, I don't have to, fiddle with it. I can just leave the saltwater brine in a quart jar, which is what I'm going to do, and leave it on the counter here behind me, so that when I check these, which will be located right over here to my left in the stairwell every day, it's really easy to take care of. Sorry, I have a fly in here driving me nuts. Anyway, so I'm going in and out. But, so, again, we're going to check it every day. You want to have a lid on it as well. And, again, that's just to keep dirt, bacteria, things like that out. What's going to happen and how long is this going to stay in here? So what is going to transpire is at about day 3 to 5, I should start seeing some bubbles, some carbon dioxide bubbles. And that's what I want. That means the lactic acid is doing its job. After 7 to 10 days, depending on what they look like, I'm going to take one out and slice it and test it. At that point, if I like the flavor, I will take them out of the crock, put them in a larger glass jar, and keep them in my refrigerator, and probably load it back up again and do this all over. So I will do my best to bring you along on that journey as it transpires and keep you updated with that. I will try to do a follow-up video where I do taste test them, as well as show you how I'm going to store them and where I'm going to store them, and let you know my final thoughts on if I like my recipe, don't like my recipe, what I'm going to change, or if it's perfect the way it is. So that fly, sugar biscuits. So I'm going to put this in a jar. I'm going to put this in the stairwell. I'm going to clean up my mess. I hope you enjoyed this video. I found some interesting tips, tricks, and facts. Hopefully you'll start fermenting some cucumbers right now, because I know they're out in the gardens growing crazy. I can hardly keep up with mine at this point. And try fermented cucumber pickles with me. And please subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of upcoming videos. And until next time, as always, have a great day.